The future of mobility is definitely autonomous. How will they contribute to forming an integrated urban transportation fabric in the future?
We see mobility today and the future of mobility across 4 spheres. It has to be electric, it has to be shared, it has to be multimodal, and then autonomous.
We have all the ingredients here in the region to leapfrog the mature markets. So we have the capital here, the scale in terms of potential demand due to the fact that we have really big cities.
If you request an Uber, you'll get matched. You then get a note on your app that says, oh, by the way, you've been matched to an autonomous car. Do you want to do it, yes or no? A lot of the momentum is here, and I think we will continue accelerating.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Inbold, Strategy and Middle East podcast, which focuses on emerging technologies and ideas and how these can become realities in our region. I'm Ruggero Moretto, and you're listening to episode 2 of the mobility series. Autonomous driving is really an exciting topic globally and for our region, with big questions in terms of when are we going to get there? What is it going to mean for our day-to-day life, and how is it going to impact our urban mobility in the future? To unravel these questions, I'm joined by Frans Hiemstra, Head of Middle East and Africa at Uber.
Thank you, good to be here.
And Dr. Andreas Gissler, Partner Strategy and Middle East. Together, we'll explore the road ahead for autonomous driving and the transformation that's going to come with it. Let's dive in. So maybe to start with, a bit of a self-introduction.
Yes, so I moved into the mobility world with Uber in South Africa, actually. In the early days of when we launched in South Africa. It was human drivers back then. It was really encouraging at that point to see how we were able to modernize a taxi industry and in a developing part of the world. And it was incredible to see how the markets that we operate in accepted us. And in South Africa, we have a pretty big business there. In the rest of Africa, we've got a business in Nigeria, in West Africa. Kenya's a great market for us. And it was good to see how Uber started forming part of the fabric of mobility in Africa. And then I've been in the Middle East for about 3.5 years, looking after our Middle East and Africa business. And it's different but similar. We're moving people from A to B, but we have very big cities in the Middle East. Here in Dubai, Riyadh, and the rest of Saudi is up and coming. Qatar, Egypt is very high volume. So it's been it's a really nice part of the world to be in, and it's good to be part of modernizing mobility.
Very briefly regarding myself, I'm now for 25 years basically in the industry. I used to work in China, I used to work in US. And the good thing is when we look to autonomous mobility, we can see it at different places in the world. For example, when we go to the US, what Waymo did, or also, for example, in China. There are different players currently ahead piloting that and also commercializing that kind of technologies now all over the world. And the question that I do have, because we have not seen it yet that much, so to say, in the region, what's needed basically to bring it to the region as well, and potentially also having the ability to leapfrog here because the market is here already. Mm-hmm. And the question from my point of view, the most important question, what needs to be done to do that?
Frans, you mentioned urbanization as a key trend. This part of the world, we're sort of already here, right? 85%, 90% of the population of this region already living in these cities. What key shifts in urban transportation globally do you see today, and how are users, especially in our part of the world, responding to these changes?
From Uber's perspective, we see mobility today and the future of mobility across 4 spheres. We see it has to be electric, it has to be shared, it has to be multimodal, and then autonomous. So all 4 of these we're starting to see in the Middle East. So in terms of shared, we have a product in, let's talk Middle East, in Saudi, where you can actually share an Uber with somebody that's going in the same direction. In Cairo, you can get on a high-capacity bus where you could request a bus through Uber. So the adoption is clear on the shared side. Then electric. It's varying across the region, but globally Uber made quite a bold commitment to be zero emissions by 2040, and sooner in some other markets. In the UAE, we've got a sort of a bolder one, which we're frankly almost at already. In Dubai, almost 25% of miles today driven on an Uber are zero emission. And if you asked me that question 2 years ago, it would have been a significantly lower number. So what's good to see is it's accelerating quickly. And another interesting thing that we've learned as we move more into the EV space is a large proportion of Uber users that use an electric vehicle on Uber, it's the first time they ever get exposed to an electric vehicle. And that's really nice that we can help create awareness, and frankly from there people will adopt it more. So I think on the EV side, that's where we're going. Then multimodal, we have integrations with Lime, the scooters in Dubai. We have got some very interesting integrations with rail. So in Saudi, for example, we are integrated with Saudi Rail's ticketing system, where you can request your Uber or reserve your Uber for the moment you get to your destination, which is very useful. And then another recent interesting thing we've done with Riyadh Metro is we have a first and last mile project with the Metro where you can request an Uber at a discounted price to get to the last mile. So that's been good. And then the last one is autonomous. That's the last one, yes. And it's been interesting how that has accelerated in the Middle East. So governments are quite open. I think they make decisions fast, but I think they're also very responsible in how they make decisions. And it's been really encouraging to be able to work with the various regulators in the UAE. It's ITC in Abu Dhabi. The RTA is excellent here in Dubai. The TGA in Saudi are all very collaborative. All very collaborative regulators, and we have varying agreements with them to accelerate the adoption of autonomous. So I suppose that's how we see mobility evolving today and the future, but a lot of it is already here today, and it'll just get more exciting.
Andreas, we hinted about different types of autonomous vehicles, taxis, shuttles, buses, maybe in the future trucks. What's the state of things across these different types, and how will they contribute to forming, let's say, an integrated urban transportation fabric in the future?
Yeah, as I said also at the beginning, what we observe here, we are just at the beginning, right, regarding autonomous. We see that kind of technologies are piloted and commercialized in other places in the world so far. And the question is, how can the region basically pick up and also utilize these technologies? Also what Frans said, yeah. I mean, for example, building now railways, yeah, also for example, high speed here in the region. So we always have to consider how does this first and last mile concept then potentially look like, and here this could perfectly fit in and feed in to that. So from my point of view, it's a really, really high potential here. To use and to utilize that kind of technologies, especially robo-taxis on the one hand side, robo-shuttles on the other side, and then potentially also robo-buses in the future. Yeah, there's a high demand. The question is how we can really capture that.
Speaking of demand, what are the main drivers, Frans, you feel about mass adoption for autonomous driving technologies, and also maybe some of the obstacles that we're facing nowadays?
We have a lot of energy and impetus to move quickly in a safe way and launch across a number of markets. We've got Abu Dhabi, which has been running since December. We will launch in Dubai as well in the coming months. And then in true Middle East form, we have more cities adopting it. So Riyadh is driving very quickly. We have the regulators really running and pulling with us, and what they've done is they've created a very nice enabling environment. So we've just recently actually signed an MOU with the TGA in Riyadh at the US Saudi Investment Forum, where they create an enabling environment for Uber to participate and deploy autonomous vehicles in the kingdom. So again, that's from a government perspective. They're really creating an enabling environment to accelerate. And then from a business side, we have our relationships with local partners. So we have operators that sit on the ground that actually need to move these vehicles, maintain the vehicles, manage the vehicles, and we've got various partnerships there, and everybody is keen to put their hand up to participate. There's a very recent announcement that we've also made in Saudi with a very, very dear partner of ours, Abdul Latif Jamil, big family in Saudi Arabia, and we're working with them to build a more modern transportation network in Saudi, and there's a number of things we're working. The first thing is we are in agreement to create 30,000 opportunities for Saudis in the kingdom to operate on Uber, humans operating on Uber. That's the first one, and that's the fundamental piece of the partnership. The next one is we're working with them to scale autonomous as well. So they are our local partner that will work with us, and through that we can participate in building mobility for the kingdom, participating in the various mobility ambitions on 2030. Whether it's mega projects, whether it's tourism. So a lot of the momentum is here, and I think we will continue accelerating. In terms of challenges, like all of the above could also be a challenge. Our user journey is interesting. So you get, if you request an Uber, you don't request an autonomous car, you request an Uber. And if the autonomous vehicle is the closest and the most efficient match, you'll get matched to a car. You then get a note on your app that says, oh, by the way, you've been matched to an autonomous car. This is pretty exciting. Do you want to do it, yes or no? And you get time to choose. And that is a very interesting point to see adoption. And it's a lot higher than we expected. People are accepting it, they're excited about it, which is also encouraging from a mass adoption perspective. And the more commonplace it becomes, the more awareness, general awareness of the technology that is created, we will see this adoption continue. So I'm quite bullish on it, and we're seeing the telltale signs across the region.
Yeah, like to drill in on the business side of things, because normally we talk about technological readiness as a first step, but there's also a business/financial readiness tipping point beyond which this technology becomes really usable and viable in the long term. Where we stand on that, and what could be some models to overcome this barrier?
So normally you have, when the technology is ready to use, this pilot phase at the beginning, yeah, but we are over that already, at least for robotaxis. Then you have the second phase where you look for commercialization, and we're also in that phase currently. And if this is viable and feasible, and if there's the willingness actually also to adapt that technology, we have the scaling phase. And it's all about that at the end, because then it becomes really profitable. You have a profitable business case, and then you can scale that technology. Yeah, and we see that, we observe that in different places in the world, that the pilot phase is over now. They're in the commercialization phase. And you know, when you have done that, also then you basically can scale it with the different modes that you have. And it's very obvious that this is going to happen in the future. It's a question how long it's going to take. Yeah, but of course you have to invest at the beginning.
And speaking of investment, one key point normally is infrastructure. And there's a question on, does it have to be dedicated fully? Does it have to be integrated? Can it be integrated? I guess we're navigating amongst the spectrum. So what efforts are ongoing now across GCC cities, and how far have we come? What are some ideal locations to have these pilots? What are suitable infrastructure areas or requirements to expand on that?
Frankly, this needs to work in modern cities. The infrastructure doesn't have to be specifically built and tailored for autonomous. The vehicles are standalone in the sense, and the technology that they use allows them to operate in cities. So the city doesn't have to be specifically autonomous ready. Obviously, it helps to have clean highways and clean roads and no potholes and so on, which I don't think we necessarily battle with in the GCC. So I think our cities are ready. in terms of infrastructure. Honestly, as cities modernize more, maybe they will then have more integrations with the road infrastructure. But today, I don't see that as a barrier.
Let me add on that. From my point of view, it's really this last tipping point, to scale, basically, that's somehow missing, and potentially also the clear vision to make it really happen in a city. On the other side, what we also experience now a little bit is fully autonomous technology. It's expensive, but the prices will come down, also over scaling. So it's the right thing to do, and it's underpinned by that strong vision to make it happen then in the city, and then to reach that tipping point to be able to scale it in the city. And if you have different kind of cities where this technology is scaled already, then you have the scale that you need. So the prices will come down, and we're talking about 5-10 years, then it will be obvious, and then you will have it in the cities.
And I guess also more and more users will adopt it, so it'll become commonplace, common acceptance. I won't have to say, yes, I'm okay with accepting this autonomous ride, but rather it'll become the standard. Oh, there's no driver in the car. What else do we need in terms of enablement to get there? Is it regulation? Is it government cooperation? Is it standards? What else?
I think we need to be very responsible about how we do it. And we need to make sure that we are doing it in a responsible way, working with regulators, bringing best practice from across the world. The reality is, it's not the first time that this is happening in the Middle East. So we should be very open to bring the best from the world here. And it's been, as I say, encouraging that local regulators have been receptive to that. So for me, we need to make sure that we're adopting best practice globally. What else? What do you think, Andreas?
From my point of view, there are different kind of dimensions. You mentioned them, and these dimensions has to come together. And this must be orchestrated based on that mission vision to make it happen. And then at the end, you have to bring these different kind of stakeholders together and to orchestrate that to make it happen. That's, from my point of view, the most important thing. Having the mission vision, bringing these different kind of stakeholders together, orchestrate that, and then make it happen.
And I guess the vision and mission is quite clear, the direction we're taking. The latest economic forums and events have indicated that obviously there is a trend of investing in the latest technology. How important is it also to accrue some local experience through these pilots? For example, to deal with the climate, to deal with the road conditions, to deal with the different user types, to make this really happen.
That's a really important thing. And for example, in Saudi or even here, you have so many test beds, what you mentioned, where you can really pilot that technology. If the technology works under that conditions, you have the scale already in the cities, and then in orchestrating these different parties, actually these different kind of stakeholders, what we believe is necessary to make it happen then in the cities at the end. So pilot it, so to say, in the test beds. If the technology is feasible, then also in the region, that's one thing. But then pilot it in the city really fast, and then try to adapt it and then scale it.
Maybe to add a little bit to scale. So it's interesting. If you look at deployment of autonomous vehicles through Uber, we have this interesting advantage. We're a phenomenally large demand channel, but we also have a hybrid network. So what I was referring to earlier, you request a car, you could get an autonomous car, or you could get a human car, depending on how if there's a car closer. And that scale allows you to actually gradually introduce. It's not, you don't have the inefficiency of battling to, I don't know, somebody requests a car on the other side of town and it takes you 20 minutes. You'll have the same experience that you have on Uber with an autonomous car. And that will allow us to scale up a little bit more gradually in a way that drives adoption because people can get exposed in a different way, and also drives adoption of the right people. It's not just the enthusiasts that are getting it; it is people that don't know about it that go through it. And then it also allows us to invest responsibly in bringing as many vehicles as you can to the network, but you don't have to do it all at once. And I think that scale allows you to do this in a probably more efficient way.
Absolutely, fully agree on that. And that's the beauty, at least. I mean, you have the demand channel, and now it's up to you, so to say, to mix, let's say, the capacity with these new technologies, yeah. And then I'm pretty sure it will fly at the end.
Do you think the vehicle configuration will change in the future? I mean, nowadays we're talking about the driver, I guess normally 2 passengers on average, but you would know more. But there are also talks in the future that when this becomes fully autonomous, maybe it becomes only 2 passengers and that's it, or shuttled. I don't know.
We see it on traditional ride hailing. You have different form factors that work. Maybe it's a little bit early, but in Egypt and in Kenya and in India we have motorbikes where frankly that we didn't think would operate on Uber, and it does now. So there is definitely room for the form factors to change and the configurations to evolve. I think it's interesting that we're just on a first stage now. There's a lot of opportunities still.
So it still looks like a car, but in the future we'll see. And definitely we look forward to seeing that evolve. Maybe let's get your final thoughts on the big question, which is, as GCC cities, can we really pave the way towards mass adoption of self-driving vehicles and make an impact, let's say, on a global scale?
Yes, absolutely. I think we're starting to prove it out. We have regulators that are game. We have cities that are set up for this. We have investment from business, from everyone. So I feel pretty confident. For me, it's just about when and how fast we can do it, but absolutely.
Yeah, I would be even more bullish on that, yeah. I mean, we have all the ingredients here in the region potentially then also to leapfrog the mature markets, yeah. So we have the capital here, we have also, let's say, the scale in terms of potential demand due to the fact that we have really big cities, yeah, and the need to change something in the cities due to congestion. It's just a way how to orchestrate it now in a very effective and efficient way to make it happen, yeah. So I see a very, very nice future regarding autonomous mobility in the region if you make it really right.
And so do I. So I think we're in agreement across the board on this. Very excited to be here. Very excited to look forward to the future, even in a short term, and see this change. And maybe we can meet again, next year and reflect on this. But for now, I'd like to thank you, of course, a sincere thank you, Frans Hiemstra, Andreas Gissler, for sharing your perspectives on the future of autonomous mobility and the GCC region and beyond. It's clear that autonomous isn't just a technology challenge, it's a much broader systems challenge, it's a perception challenge, it's a behavioral challenge, and our region really has the opportunity to set a global benchmark on that. To our listeners, until next time.